Thank you so much for joining me. It's great to meet you, at least virtually.
Virtually.
Um, where are you zooming in from today?
I'm in New York City.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. A little nice little hotel room in New York City.
Oh, okay. Are you currently shooting?
We have the premiere tonight.
The premiere is tonight.
Yes.
Wonderful. Oh, that's incredible. Wow. Well, I just finished watching it.
Beautiful.
It is tremendous. So congratulations, really well done. The movie is called If You See Something, and you wrote, produced, and star in the film. Um, well done. I just finished watching it, and it's it's not only a great dramatic piece,
Mm.
but boy, oh boy, does it really speak on a lot of the things that we are witnessing every moment on the moment right now. And I find that really interesting because it started its festival run this time last year, and which means you shot it in 2023 or
Started in
thereabouts.
2022. Yep, exactly.
And so that, of course, was before the Orange Man retook office.
Wow.
And I just find all of the parallels so juicy and so, you know,
Yeah.
when the greater audience sees this film,
Mm.
it's really going to bring a conversation and a needed conversation, one that needs to be had, one that needs to be had all the time. And I, you know, I'm an actor and filmmaker as well. I also have, I have these conversations with so many people on the day because it's happening everywhere. And yet, so many people are completely oblivious
Yeah.
to anything that is going on. I'm so sorry. I will stop jabbering and let you because I just want to jump into everything about this film because I love it so much. And I want to ask you about the director O'Day.
Yeah.
Where did you first meet him? How did that come about?
Yeah. I mean, first, just to kind of speak a little bit to what you said before around like the timing and the poignancy, it's like you kind of make a movie like this and you hope that it in some way becomes less relevant, or that it gets to speak, I think, instead of speaking to a political moment, that it gets to speak to kind of the larger human reality, because it really that was sort of the driving force. And then yeah, we have an administration that is building its kind of authoritarian regime on the backs of immigrants, frankly. And so then a movie like this, which again really kind of was born out of my, born out of the director's lived experience and his story, but it starts to feel like this kind of urgent call to action for Americans and for folks who just frankly believe in dignity of all people and human rights on a very fundamental level, which doesn't feel like it should be controversial, but somehow has become that way. Um, so O'Day and I met. This one also, it has a funny sort of trajectory, and not funny, haha, sort of unusual. O'Day and I met in 2016, actually, because I got sent the script, which existed. So the script actually predated me. Was written by a fabulous writer and producer called Avram Ludwig, and Avram and O'Day were like, very very close friends, and um, it was this kind of thriller piece, and I read it all in one sitting and just delighted in it so much, and sort of saw this character who is a very fierce woman and also a very vulnerable person, and both sensitive and ambitious, and fights for her love, and just this deeply complex person, and who I identified with quite a bit. And I had O'Day and Avram over to my house for dinner after reading the piece, and just was like, I want to like talk about what this script is and what this film is, and what you guys are trying to say with it, and kind of what I took from it, and feel and see if that aligns. And by the end of the night, we were shaking hands. I mean, I think I had like mascara down my face from like crying and also from tears of laughter. We just had this such dynamic time together. And you know, O'Day was born and raised in Baghdad, Avram born and raised in New York City. I was born and raised in San Diego, California. And so really like almost like full spectrum of like different kind of early childhood experiences and sort of where we've been raised, and had so much in common and could find these like again just like these fun things to talk about, these silly things to talk about, our belief in art, our love for New York City, which is where we all lived at the time. And anyway, based very much on the film was based on O'Day's lived experience in Baghdad and then immigrating to the United States, seeking political asylum here. Um, and then yeah, there's kind of a long story after that, but that was sort of the origin of the film.
That's incredible. So his life was really translated to the screen through Ali's character, through Adam's character, and I really have to hand it to Adam as well because he has such an incredible um, control, a
Hmm.
subtle control,
Yeah.
which is so awesome. There are a few actors that really get that right, you know, because he has to bring such a power to that character, but it also, you know, your character as Katie too, um, equals out that power. She is so strong and is really there for him
Mm-hmm.
no matter the odds. And the
Mm-hmm.
odds really tick, tick, tick up all the way up the scale as the movie plays along. And it's just really incredible to watch. I so enjoyed Adam's performance. I wasn't previously familiar with his work, and now I will make sure and watch every single thing he does because really, um, I want to. I I'm sort of held back here because I want to talk a lot about the plot points, but then I
Yeah.
don't because I don't want to spoil anything. But there's some just really great moments throughout the film, and um, I really enjoyed the surreal visions. Is it
Hmm.
all right to talk about that? I don't want
Yes,
to give too
absolutely.
much away.
No, no, we
There
can talk
are
dreams. Yeah.
Okay, because there are moments where both your character and Adams, Katie and Ali, have these visions. They see things that may or may not be happening. And the way it's edited and presented in the film is really great because it's such a it's such a soft but strong transition each time it happens, especially near the end of the film. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I'm talking about, of
Sure,
course.
sure.
And I was like, you know, I sort of had to get up and and pace around a little bit because it really the movie sort of fills you with a, you know, it does that great build of dramatic tension, and then especially during that moment, it was like, um, sorry, I'm going all over the
Yeah.
place here.
I love it. I love it. No, I mean, look, I think one of the things with this movie that we like really hoped was that people would have exactly this response. Like it's that we hoped that people would see it and be like, but that part, but it did this and that performance and was that, did you actually write that? Like, or was that all improvised? Like, how did that work? How is this edited together? Because, you know, again, like fundamentally the filmmaking process, it is a collaborative process in which all of these different artists come together to say something about themselves. And I think this one was that maybe more than any other film that I have ever been a part of. And I know Adam and I had a lot of conversations on set where he was like, something real is happening here. You know, it's not just like show up to work and like sit in the makeup chair and then put your costume on and then like kind of go and do a song and dance. Like there was a lot of really real conversations that were happening off screen between Adam and O'Day and I and me and Adam and Reed and I and all of the like fabulous Tarek and Hend and Nasser and like just the whole cast was like so I think deeply connected to the material because O'Day and I each brought our kind of authenticity to it because so I took over writing the script. Avram had contracted pancreatic cancer in 2018 and I will never forget that phone call. I got that phone call standing on the roof of my New York City apartment at the time. And he called and was like, I have some bad news. And I thought maybe it was about the movie or I didn't know what it was. And it was about
Sure.
his health, which you just never expect to get that phone call. And it sort of breaks your heart to this day, like still breaks my heart to think about it. And anyway, we put pause obviously on working on the film and hoped that Avram would get better. And he ended up not getting better and we said our goodbyes
I'm
in
so sorry.
of 2019 and again O'Day and I kind of took a sec off for obvious reasons I think and then got back together a little bit thereafter and we're like we have to make it like we have to make this one for Av and for us and everything. It was the last thing he had written and so there was like this kind of we were pivoting a little bit right before he got sick because it was really originally quite like very focused in the thriller genre and it was really
Hmm.
Katie's movie and he Ali like sort of disappears in the middle and she doesn't know what's going on and it was the same plot but it was just that the audience didn't know what was going on and Katie didn't know what was going on and so it ended up it at that point kind of was this like is he or isn't he like involved in some terrorist effort was like kind of the question, which ultimately, as we continue to develop it, was like that is the least interesting question on the table as far as this film is concerned. And so um, what O'Day and I continue to do is really pivot to make this a relationship movie, make this a movie about two people getting to know each other. And in this case, it was two people who come from different countries of origin, who have different backgrounds, who have very different lived experiences, but who fundamentally have found this love for each other. And the backstory there is that it's Dawood who actually introduces them. Um, and that Ali or anyway there's a whole backstory for all the fan fiction that'll come out of this
Hopefully
but
so.
yeah hoping so we should be so lucky but no that yeah that it's a film about a relationship and so that was the work from 2019 through when we shot in 2022 that we were really doing and again the authenticity I had Katie like so in my bones at that point and loved her so much and frankly loved Ali so much and O'Day has Ali in his bones and so that really came onto the page I think and onto the set and and yeah and just I think was it's a film that is almost like a meta version of itself in so many ways.
I totally agree. And it really is powerful writing. And it really shows through in every character and every line and your father too, who is just loves you so much and doesn't want to see you get hurt. And we're the audience is sort of I will speak for myself. I was sort of wondering in some of his lines during the interactions when you're at their house that it how's he going to react? Is this going to be an explosion? We don't know. But the whole arc of his character is that he loves you to the ends of the earth and he doesn't want to see anything happen to you. And that certainly creates its own drama within the film, which I really enjoyed. Incredible actor.
Reed
Um,
Birney is we made him an offer and I wrote him a letter because I've just been such a fan of his work for quite some time, but especially I think I was in college when The Humans was on Broadway and I
hmm,
went and saw it multiple times and he ended up winning the Tony for that performance. But it really like I saw so much of this character and that character that yeah Ward in that character anyway just have been such a fan of his and so wrote him a letter and it was one of the easiest letters I've had to write because I'm genuinely such a big fan of his work he came onto set and he was like so okay I'm the bad guy I'm the bad guy in this movie And O'Day and I both were like, no, 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 no. No, you're not the bad guy. Like, you're a father. You are exactly what you're saying, Devin. Like, you're a father who like cares about his daughter and um who wants her to be well and safe and thinks that he knows what that is and thinks that he knows what's best. And again, in this film it plays out in this very particular way, but it is this kind of basic and fundamental human thing that we face, which is like, how do we better understand the unknown, and how do we better cope with the unknown? And it's something that O'Day, I won't speak completely for him, but he and I talked about this a lot. Obviously, he's been longtime partnered with an American woman, and he always tells this story. Like, now his in-laws are like, they're like, he's like, I'm their favorite person in the world. But at first, the story with the which is in the film with the dishwasher, where like he's putting the stuff in the dishwasher and the parents like move it around, and it's this kind of like really weird subtle jab, is something that happened to O'Day.
Right.
um and so like pulling these kinds of experiences in. But what I love, I think, so much about what we put on screen, and from all of the conversations that O'Day and I had, was like, there isn't really a bad guy in this film. We've had people say that Ward's character is the character that they identify with the most. And not necessarily because they would say or do exactly what he said or did, but because they are fathers to daughters, and that they sort of at the end are like, I don't agree with what Katie did. And I'm like, that's amazing. I didn't want, O'Day and I never wanted to make an agenda film. This is not propaganda. This is a conversation starter. It's not something where we hope that we're telling people what to think, but that we're offering an opportunity through story to explore questions of humanity and of home and of getting to know each other across these sort of like skin suits that we're all kind of trapped in.
Absolutely. I'm telling you what, there's nothing that will create more drama than filling the dishwasher wrong.
I
Because I've gone around with my roommates, my former roommates, many, many times. It's not that hard, guys. It's just like Tetris.
That's what it is.
It's got they've got slats and they go in the slats, and
You
it's
know, it's
one
a
way or
whole
the other.
movie about that. Next
You
time,
know,
the sequel.
I don't have any fancy pants dishes. They're all, of varying plastics. So I
And
don't have to
still
worry
creates
about that
drama,
much.
right?
But still, do it right.
Yeah.
Um, one thing that plays out throughout this film, your brand of storytelling really shows through.
Mm,
And one thing that you do throughout your films that you've done is something called honor storytelling. And I did pull the definition from your official website, but I'd
mm.
love for you to talk about what that means to you in your storytelling and your filmmaking.
I am a highly, well, actually, I'll say it this way. I care a lot. Like, kind of fundamentally, as a human being, it is a thing that for better or worse, I care so much. And so things which impact people, these sort of political, I'm so sensitive about calling myself a political filmmaker these days because of how partisan everything is. And I'm very leftist. I don't think any question about that. But I never I want my films to investigate the humanity of things. I made a film about abortion a number of years ago, and continuing to develop it into a television show. But um, it is sort of a sliding doors piece in which this young woman chooses both to bring her pregnancy to term and to have an abortion, and we like sort of split into these two universes. And as somebody, I've had two abortions in my life, like as somebody who has gone through this experience, like it was like, I don't, the idea is not, again, propagandizing abortion. It's not saying like, go and you must have one if you aren't prepared. Like, I don't know what being prepared to have a kid looks like yet in my life. I'm not yet prepared to have a kid.
Does
And
anyone?
so, right. I mean, right. And there's like that, I think, and that's exactly the stuff. Like, is anyone ever fully, like, what does that even, what does it mean? And so to be able through storytelling and through character to be able to investigate these like big human questions using topics that we are talking about in sort of headlines and in journalism, like to use story to explore that, it just gives us an opportunity to see another side of something. It's why I stayed in Hollywood, like frankly, after 2016. I didn't think it was possible for the country to get behind a man who had sexually assaulted multiple women and who spoke about women in this way and who was just so kind of profoundly racist and transphobic. I mean, just all of the things that we sort of stand against as a free nation.
You would
Um,
think.
you would think, and it really. I know that this is so age old, but like it really shook me. And it I sort of thought maybe I'll leave the industry and I'll go and do some public service work. And I went to Washington DC and had all these interviews with all these different NGOs in these different spaces, and the thing that everybody kept coming back to was the storytelling. They were like, wait, you are an actress, can you help us with our, we've got this like little PSA that we're doing, or we've got this little piece, like
Oh,
help us with our storytelling and participate in our messaging work. And that really helped me to realize that we can bring these things together in a way that is primarily entertaining, that uses this fundamental thing, which is stories, that human beings, we think in stories, we think in narrative arcs, that we're able to explore and put ourselves in other people's shoes through characters which have human and diverse experiences. And I think that that's sort of always been, when I think about honoring the sort of ancient tradition of storytelling, what I think about is honoring the fact that this is, I think, one of the things that fundamentally makes us human. I studied art history in college, and why I did that was because sort of the way in which art reflects the moments, the sort of eras of history, tells us so much more than any history textbook could, because the textbooks are written by the people who are in power, and the artists are the ones that are on the ground really experiencing, really seeing. And so when we think about like, oh, this film was made in, if you see something was made in 2022, that was before this, like, most people didn't know what ICE was. If you had said like, what does ICE stand for, I don't think most people would have known, because they didn't really have to know. It wasn't being weaponized, but it's always been, I think, this question that we should be asking ourselves. And I think that the artists, it's certainly a question that I was asking myself. It's a question, of course, that O'Day, because he came here and sought asylum, and it was a question of sort of every minute of his existence living here, that he asked himself. And so, it, I yeah, I sort of feel that way also about like One Battle After Another. Like, it's just these films that kind
I
of
got to
speak
see that.
to this moment that you're just like,
I
but
know.
how do you know? And you're like, I didn't know. I just was paying attention to the questions that I felt needed to be asked about the core humanity of us, at any given point. So anyway.
That creative advocacy is more important than ever before. It's more needed than ever before. And I applaud you on this film and all of the advocacy that you're doing. Um, I am always seeking ways and opportunities of, you know, how I can be involved
Mhm.
in, speaking up for First Amendment rights, for all of our constitutional rights, which are continuing to be, those threads are being pulled out of the quilt,
Mhm.
all the time. And I recently became a committee member of the Committee for the First Amendment, which was reactivated by Jane Fonda and is joined by, a lot of industry professionals. And we've had a couple of meetings which have gone well, and we're sort of, building out, trying to come up with things that we can do for to keep propelling that
Yeah.
all of that.
All of that.
And it's just so important. I will share with you that I had my own run-in with the Secret Service earlier this year for sharing information on TikTok, of all things.
Whoa.
Now, I will say I don't know that they are actually Secret Service. They
Uh,
said they were Secret Service. It was two suited gentlemen that came to my door. And that is the key, though, that is creepy and scary.
Whoa.
They came to my door, right? So they know where I live. Somebody does.
Yep. Somebody does.
And this was in January, 4 day. Well,
Whoa.
they left a tag on my door, which was so creepy. To call back some agent, and then, I didn't call
Yeah, that's the
because
right thing.
duh.
Because duh.
And then sure enough, they showed up at my door 4 days later, and I, I did have roommates at the time, and I figured that this might happen, so I cued my roommate to, hold them at the door while I got the camera so I could make sure and get them on video. And anyway, I am I am
It's like,
very used to it has literally come to my door, these experiences that all of these people are at. And thankfully, I mean, obviously I'm a nerdy white guy, so
mhm,
I would uh not be put in the position that so many of these other people have been being put into, literally being kidnapped off the streets, and these families don't know where their loved ones are at, and
yeah,
all of the calls are made, and the signal is boosted, and they still don't know where they're at, and they're being trucked off to wherever, El Salvador, and we keep finding out about these other um, facilities.
yeah.
Wink, wink, wink. It's wild.
And it's like it's just history repeating itself. We had internment camps in this country. There were
Yeah,
concentration camps in Nazi Germany. Like that, we've been here before. We
we
know that
sure
it's
have.
possible.
Yep.
And yet we like I think just want so badly to hope that we will learn our lesson as a human species at some point. And the fact of the matter is that like power is a very tantalizing thing, and that there are some people who will do sort of anything to get it. And and it's a really frightening reality. I certainly don't have anything to sort of put balm on top of that, but I do think the thing, at least that I've sort of had on my mind, is the way in which our collective experience and coming together is such an antidote to this sense of fear and this like isolation and this otherization that's happening. That getting to come together, whether it's coming together to make a movie, coming together to watch a movie in movie theaters, coming together to protest, and these protests have been almost like celebrate, like they've been so fun. There's been so much joy as a part of them, and I really come back to that so often, which is, you saw it in the film too. It is these moments of like intense terror and also these moments of intense joy and connectivity. And there's this one moment that's such a throwaway line in the film that I love so much, where Tarek Bashar's character Raed picks up a toy from the couch and is like, "Oh, sorry, this is Amira's," and like goes and moves away. And it's like yes, children and play and toys, that this is what, again, it's what makes us human. The fear dehumanizes us. This rhetoric dehumanizes us, and that the way that we stay human is by being in relationship with each other. It's a really important part of why we made the movie. It's a really important part of, why we have been so dogged about putting it out into the world. It's not a star via, like you said, like Adam Bakri is like one of the most talented actors if that I've ever worked with. And I talk often that, and I'm just being like so honest, like we talk often where he's like, yeah, the US just like doesn't, it's a harder environment to like get press in, to get attention in, to get to sort of speak my truth and my piece about things. And we've just stayed really committed to putting the piece into the world, because it feels right now like our offering to those of us who are committed to humanity, like, and I've said that a couple of times, but I really mean it.
Well, people are going to love it, and I am as I'm. as excited as you are for people to see it. I'm so glad that it's finally going to be out. Yeah, that you mentioned the protests, and I was out on the street, and um, that is there's nothing like that feeling.
Yeah,
Being out there with all those people,
together.
and people
Totally.
had some really good signs.
Yeah. I love a good sign. They're
Nothing
so
better.
funny. They just, yeah, they live on forever.
Lots of people in inflatable outfits too. I saw
But
lots of various woodland creatures and the giant inflatable Trump with the diaper and that's always fun.
right. And
Um,
again, because this humor, like the humor is the thing that works, right? Like that's why they tried to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. It's why they canceled Super Bowl there. Like the humor works, the
right.
stories work, the art is so powerful. It's such a powerful force. And they know it.
Absolutely. Are you from New York?
So originally from San Diego,
Okay.
um, grew up in Southern California, and then yeah, lived in New. I came to New York for college and stayed here for 12 years. So I was here for a long time. My grandmother grew up in Washington Heights with a view of the George Washington Bridge. So we came here a lot
Wow.
growing up.
Okay.
A lot of New York accent, New York in my home growing up because of that. Zabar's Bagels and Russ and Daughters and all of that good stuff. And it does it does feel like home. It is a city that really it is so itself that it sort of has this open door for anybody, and it's why it was important that the film was set in New York. And it's, when Ali says like 18 nationalities in one subway car and it feels home for all of us, like that O'Day always says, like that was his experience. He had been all over the world, and New York was the place that he felt the most at home. And again, I would say the same thing, and I think that's the magic of New York City.
It really does have its own special magic and verve. And I've been fortunate to visit there a few times, but I've never actually lived there. And I've always sort of, you know, I live my life through pop culture. So, you know, um, in your film and in Sex and the City and all of the great things that take place there. It's just it has such a
But yeah, it has so much personality as a city.
yeah.
It's yeah, and well, and it's fun because for if you see something, we didn't shoot in Manhattan at all. So all
Oh,
of the stuff that like you're really used to seeing on screen with New York, we opted pretty intentionally to sort of leave out. We're like, that New York. Like, what is this New York that Katie and Ali live in and are experiencing? And it sort of went from like Queens to Flatbush to Bay Ridge, all the way like sort of deep in, oh my gosh, what is that neighborhood called? Um, oh, nope, it's escaping me right now. There's this neighborhood in deep Brooklyn where we shot all of the family stuff,
uh-huh.
and it's a boating community. And
Oh,
they live, I'm gonna have to look it up and I'm gonna send it to you after. It's a
please
boating
do.
community, and we like everybody there's like docks. It's just you wouldn't think that it's Brooklyn. It doesn't look like Brooklyn, and it is. And there's that one moment in the film where like the New York City bus goes by
Mhm.
behind Ali as he and Ward are talking, and it was important that we had that in because we were like, people are going to think we're in some suburb somewhere, and actually we're very much still in Brooklyn.
Right in the heart of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a diverse city. There's so much happening here, and we really wanted to capture all of the different little corners of it.
All right, here's the big question. What is the best pizza in New York?
Oh no, you can't ask that question. Okay, so I think that the best pizza is probably Joe's. However, my husband, who also composed the music for this film,
Ah,
and he's a total genius, he worked for a long time at Roberta's. And I will say that Roberta's makes a mean pie.
okay.
Yes.
I'll make sure to clip that audio out so you can give it to him, and he will be very proud of you
I'll
for
be thrilled.
for that. I have my places too, but I don't think that um like LA doesn't really have a signature, you know? We
Yeah.
have In and Out,
Right,
which
right.
is
Which is pretty.
fine.
Although, yeah. You
We
like
have
tacos?
Portos. We have Portos here,
Okay.
which is a place that it's one of those places that there's a line out the door and around the corner
Gross.
nearly every day, and they do they have a full menu, but they mostly do like a lot of breads and desserts
Oh,
and like
yeah.
pastries and stuff like that. They're out of my price range, so I'm
Okay.
it's not a place that I frequent, but I'm very familiar with as Los Angelino.
Yeah.
But we don't really have our own like signature thing. Like, um, I'm sure people will drop into my
Yeah,
DMs and
yeah,
be like,
yeah, yeah. We got
"How dare you?"
how dare you? Well, it's
You
funny.
know.
So we lived in New York for a long. We moved. My husband and I moved to New York or sorry, moved from New York to LA when we were engaged. So we've been in LA, living in LA for 3 years, and I haven't heard of Portos. So I appreciate you putting it on my radar. Um, and it is funny that there isn't really a like LA food. I feel like maybe like a green juice.
I think there's like Pinks too. Like
Uh,
most people know Pinks hot dogs,
uh-huh.
which is another staple. But maybe
Like
I'm
the
going to get
apple
this wrong and
pan
have to
for a
cut this.
burger.
But well, I mean, I don't know. This is a continuing thing on social media. Is like, what's the best burger in LA? I couldn't
Right,
tell you
right.
because again, like I don't have the finances to go to the fancy burger places. I go to In and Out and Habit Burger.
There you go.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's good
Have you ever
enough
been
for
to
now.
Heavy Handed?
No, what is
Heavy
that?
Handed makes a mean burger.
Okay,
That's a good burger joint.
I
It's
will.
one on the west
I'm,
side.
I'm gonna write that
Go, you
down.
can grab a smash burger and a beer and some fries. It's good stuff.
Love it.
This is an important interview that we're doing right now. This is really important
I
stuff.
I think it is. I think it is. People need to know this.
People need to know.
Um, and they need to tell me where the best burger is in LA, and I
Yes.
will go there,
Yes. Right. Dress up. Tell us.
All right. Um, who would you love to work with? Carte blanche, any director, another actor that you would like to work with?
How am I supposed to choose just one?
You don't have
Okay,
to choose just one.
great. Then I'm gonna go off.
Let's go
I
down the list.
I I was attached to a film that didn't get made ultimately. That was written and to be directed and starring who is somebody who's now a dear friend of mine named Max Maduka, and Greta Gerwig was attached as an
Oh,
EP to that film, and Greta and Max and I did a reading of it during COVID for some financiers. And anyway, I just Little Women is like one of my favorites. I, Mistress America. I would, if Greta called me, I'd probably say yes to anything
me too.
she wanted to do. Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, and I think everybody probably feels that way these days. But I just her, I think Rick Linklater. Um, I I remember just being like he's so playful. I love how both like serious and playful he is with his work. Um, I would say like Jonathan Glazer
Oh,
is
great.
is a director that I would probably put down whatever it was that I was holding and run towards if he had any interest. And Justine Triet, who did Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
blown away by that movie, the intimacy. That's like one of my top three of all time.
Good picks.
Yeah, that's my list.
I love that list.
We're
Well
gonna hang up,
done.
and I'm gonna be like, "Oh my God, I have like 70." Yeah.
That always happens. That always happens. Well, again, I'm nerdy as they come. So I'd love to do a Star Trek. I would love to
Yeah.
do. I did have a little tiny Star Wars experience. I worked on Skeleton Crew. I got to play an
Wow.
alien. Now, the way it worked out, which was incredible, let me tell you.
Of course.
Uh, the way it worked out, they I got the call and then I was supposed to work like 5 days,
Mm.
but then I got COVID because of
No.
course I did, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the universe.
Oh, so they said, no worries, we'll bring you back, we'll get you in there. But then I had to get better first. And so by the time they brought me back, it was only a single day of work. Now, I will say that single day of work was one of the most awesome days ever. Got the full, I was a Klatooinian raider, so I was like a pirate, arr, and got to work on the volume in Manhattan Beach where they do a lot of the Disney shows and projects, and got to have the full experience with the wraparound thing that they do, the and Jim Henson action and droids, and anyway, so that was pretty cool. So
Such a joy.
um anyway,
It's like the movie magic, there's nothing like it to be in it, to watch it, to engage with it. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like these days I'm finding myself being so drawn also towards like working with my pals, like working with my friends, enjoying ourselves. Like the world is so tough and mean and cruel, these days, that getting to just like make a little something with your friends is also as enticing as being on a on a Star Wars set for me.
for sure.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than working with your friends, collaborating with people that you love and care for, and you can have some laughs and feel protected, and whether you're doing drama or comedy. Um, would you do comedy?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm probably more of like the straight girl than the comedian. Um, but I've been laughed at many a time. So I'm sure that there's something that the right director could get from some embarrassing situation.
Sure. Throw you right in with Kat Dennings
Yeah,
and
exactly.
see what happens.
Exactly. Queen of her craft.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jess, so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate it. Congratulations again on if you see something, and it's going to be a great premiere. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch it through your Instagram and your social media. That being said, where can people find you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram at Jess Jacobs X. My website is www.jessjacobs.com. And then for the film, if you type in www.ifyouseesomethingfilm.com, it will take you to Joint Ventures website, which is the distributor who has all of the material for the film, all of the ticket availability, some fun clips and stills, and some additional resources as well. So some stuff that the audience can learn if they feel like digging in a little deeper about immigration, the status of different immigration at this moment in American history.
As they should.
Yeah.
And we got to keep people educated and informed
And
because
having a good time and together.
that's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Jess. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Enjoy the premiere
Thanks,
and
Devlin.
have a great day.
See you next time.
Indeed.
Thanks. Bye.